One of two Pike River survivors is demanding a rescue team be granted permission to enter the mine, saying he needs to know if any of his co-workers survived the first blast, even if only for a short time. What happened in there and why? Daniel Rockhouse received a bravery medal for his heroic act dragging fellow semi-conscious miner Russell Smith to safety following the disaster in November 2010. He says he passed at least 4 other miners in the minutes before the first explosion, and he believes they may not have been far behind him in the drift, potentially, if they survived that first explosion. Mr. Rockhouse, now working in a Queensland mine, says he needs to enter the mine for closure.
The point is there were other contractors working around Spaghetti Junction area. I don't know how many, but at least 3 or 4, you know. And if people go, oh, they were crushed or something like that from the fall. The fall didn't happen till much later. So
there is a possibility, and no one knows this, and this is the whole point.
Yeah.
That obviously they, after the first explosion, they did exactly what you did if they survived it. And forgive me for such a brutal conversation, and that is they started to make their way out, right? That's inevitable if you survive. Right. And you made your way out, and you saved Russell's life by finding him and helping him get out. Presumably they tried to do the same thing, and they weren't that far away from you. They were, a few hundred metres to a K away from you?
Yeah, no, it wouldn't have even been a kilometre. No way. It's such a small distance that if they survived the initial blast, which I believe that at least some of them did, there's such a high potential for them to be making their way out, and something's gone wrong, or they've passed out, or their rescuer, they didn't put the rescuer on properly, just like I did. I will fully admit that when I put my rescuer on, I didn't put it on properly, and it didn't work to the best of its ability because I was panicking so much. But maybe they did the same, and their environment, their circumstances were different to mine. I was just bloody lucky, and yeah, it's beyond me that the New Zealand government are willing to just make this disappear like it never happened, when there's so many men down there that are Kiwis and foreigners, but are just sitting there with it. It's like a unfinished business, like it's frustrating, very frustrating, and upsetting for us. So.
We try and talk to Solid Energy, and they never ever front for an interview, but the minister's fronted from time to time, and he says, and he says it very passionately, that they don't want to put any more lives at risk, and they believe it is a very, very dangerous environment, and that nothing would be gained if by going and more lives were lost.
How do they know? How do they know? Are they mining experts? Like. I'm standing here today on the phone to you, and I'll sign whatever paperwork to get them out of the shit, so to speak, stating and willing to, as long as I've got the right training and the right gear to be able to go back into that mine, I will go back in there and I will risk my life to be able to do it. And there's many others. It's not just me. There's many others that are willing to do it as well, and they've got far more experience than me.
Yeah, we've spoken to them, including senior mines rescue figures in New Zealand. We've spoken to them. They've been on this program.
That's right. There's guys over here. There's guys over here that are in mines rescue that have said the exact same thing. We would go in. We would go in. We've got the gear. We've got the expertise. We've got the resources. Why? We'll come with you. We'll go in. It's unreal. The only thing stopping them is all this red tape from the frigging government, and it doesn't make sense. There is no reason that we can't at least try. Okay, so it's just it's an absolute piss take to be frank with you, mate. So yeah.
Daniel Rockhouse talking to us from Australia earlier this afternoon.